What's going on, guys? Welcome in. I am Kadarius Washington, and this is the Sports Rundown. It's a pleasure to have you guys in as always, and be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Click that notification bell to be notified of when I post again. And also follow me on Twitter and on Bluesky at CW Talk Sports. That's CWTALKS Sports. And boy, oh boy, oh boy. Do we have a lot of sports to get into today? We got to get into OKC's dominance over Minnesota in game one of the Western Conference Finals. We got game one tonight of the Eastern Conference Finals between the Knicks and the Pacers. We'll give you a little preview and prediction on that. And also, the future of the Tush push hangs in the balance as far as the NFL is concerned, as the owners' meetings are taking place in Minneapolis. We'll get into some of that. We got to get into the 49ers as they make another offseason move. We got to get into a little bit of the baseball, and we got to get into a little more of the fallout from the Indiana Fever Chicago Sky game from Saturday. And since we didn't do it earlier this week, we'll also get into Scotty Scheffler's dominant win in the PGA Championship, and we'll also get into journalism winning the Preakness as we get you going here on the Sports Rundown. We're going to start with what we saw last night as OKC, the Thunder, make a pretty dominant statement win over the Minnesota Timberwolves, 114-88 was your final score there. And really, this was a game, this game was really a story of two halves. Starting with OKC, another slow offensive start, just like the Denver Game 7 from Sunday. And they trailed 48-44 at the half. They weren't shooting the ball all that well. And then in the third quarter, OKC goes on a 17-2 run, and they overall outscore Minnesota 70-40 in the second half. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, absolutely phenomenal game from SGA. 31 points, 9 assists, 5 rebounds, with 20 of those points coming in the second half. And Jalen Williams having 19 points there. Chet Holmgren, 15 points, and Jalen Williams with 19 points. And OKC, it was just dominance as far as OKC in the game was concerned. And their defense absolutely shut down Minnesota in the second half, and they had no answer for them. And then the Minnesota Timberwolves on their end, Julius Randle, 28 points with 20 in the first half. Anthony Edwards, 18 points with 0 in the fourth quarter. And of course, you had the situation earlier in the game where he went to the locker room after twisting his ankle. He eventually came back to the game. I think he got it retaped or something like that, but that was something to look at there. And then Minnesota, they shot the ball horrifically from three. They went 15 for 51. They missed 36 threes in the game and got outscored 54-20 as far as the paint is concerned. And I have another stat for you that I want you to look at, because I've been seeing a lot of takes with this with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So OKC last night as a team shot 26 free throws. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander alone shot 14 free throws. Do you know how many free throws the rest of OKC shot for combined? 12. From all of 26 OKC free throw attempts, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander shot 14. Now listen, in the game, Shai Gilgeous SGA went 10 for 27 from the field. SGA shot 14 free throws. The second most free throws in the game was Anthony Edwards with 7 and Julius Randle with 6, and everyone else in the game shot either 4 or less. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander shot 14 free throws in the game. So what do you think that says about SGA as far as him getting calls and all that stuff? Because SGA, one thing about him, he knows how to get to that free throw line. I mean, 14 free throws while the rest of the team had 12, and then Edwards with 7. And on top of that, Anthony Edwards and Julius Randle combining for 13 free throws. 14 free throws. I mean, wow. So what do you think that says about SGA? I'll tell you what it says. He knows how to get calls. He knows how to trigger that whistle, and boy, oh boy, did they do it in this game. And one more note about OKC before we shift gears here. OKC in the last 2 games have a combined 70 points off of turnovers. 70 points. 39 in the game against Denver, game 7 against Denver, 31 points last night. And listen, I was going to give you a prediction earlier this week, but I guess I can give you now. That's why I really like OKC to win this thing in 6. Now, I know Minnesota, they've got a little more experience than OKC as far as the playoffs are concerned, especially with Anthony Edwards and Julius Randle, who's on an absolute tear. But OKC, they're just the deeper team. And they definitely showed that last night with all their depth and all their contributions as far as that's concerned. And they're just deeper. I mean, Alex Caruso with 9 points off the bench, Kendrick Williams, 8 points off the bench. I mean, their bench absolutely was incredible. Their starters were absolutely incredible. And Shea getting all those calls and just their defense absolutely shutting down Minnesota in the second half. That's why I like OKC to win this series in 6. And boy, oh boy, did they show that last night. And then, of course, tonight, you have game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals where the New York Knicks are taking on the Indiana Pacers. And, of course, we've been saying this is a rematch from last year in the conference semifinals when the Knicks had a million injuries and couldn't really overcome it. And, of course, the Knicks going to this game after defeating the Celtics in 6 in that blowout disaster on Friday night. And then the Pacers defeating Cleveland in 5 as far as the Pacers are concerned. And looking at the Knicks, Jalen Brunson, of course, absolutely phenomenal clutch player of the year. 28 points, 4 rebounds, 8 assists. Karl Anthony Towns, who I have trust issues with. I have some trust issues with Karl Anthony Towns, but he's been making his contributions as far as the postseason is concerned with 19 and 11. But who I'm really looking at is the Indiana Pacers. The Indiana Pacers have 6 players averaging double figures. And along with that, Tyrese Halliburton, even though he's the guy, he's not even the leading scorer on this Pacer team in the postseason. That's Pascal Siakam with 19, 6, and 3. And, of course, Tyrese Halliburton with 17, 9, and 5. And even though Halliburton is the guy for the Pacers, and, of course, they're pretty much billing him to be the top dog, and, of course, having that chip on his shoulder, especially given that he was voted as the most overrated player as far as his peers are concerned. This Pacer team has been playing a lot of team basketball, just like the Knicks, but I really, really love the Pacers' depth. And plus the Knicks, they're going up against the team who is not going to literally shoot 100 threes in 2 games and miss 75 of them. It's going to be a real challenge for this Knick team, and especially with a real coach in what's the dude's name? Rick Carlisle, with a lot of success. I mean, like Missoula, but anyway. But we already know about Missoula, but anyway. Rick Carlisle with a lot of success. He is one of the best coaches as far as the NBA is concerned. And Tom Thibodeau's a pretty good coach too. But they're not going to be shooting 100 threes and missing 75 of them. So from the Pacers' depth, I really, really like the Pacers to win this series in 6. And I think the NBA Finals, Pacers, OKC. That's my finals prediction because I really, really, really love depth as far as the teams are concerned in the NBA. All right, we got to get to the NFL as the owners' meetings are taking place in Minneapolis. And of course, the one big thing that came from yesterday, the owners unanimously approving to letting players participate in the Olympic Games in 2028 for flag football. And of course, the 2028 Summer Games are going to be in Los Angeles. And Justin Jefferson was in attendance for the meetings yesterday. And there was a lot of positive reaction from receivers who really, really want to participate in the Olympics. And of course, the stipulation for that, 1 player per team can be represented as far as the Summer Games are concerned. Now, listen, I know winning a gold medal is a big deal, but I do have a lot of concerns about this and this whole situation with the Olympic Games. Number 1, injuries. I mean, injuries are realistically a possibility when it comes to flag football. I mean, in any sport, really, like the NBA, just like in the Olympics with the NBA, and we all know about the Paul George situation from a few years ago, and I'm not even going to get into that. But injuries and players getting the injuries are a really big factor as far as the Olympics are concerned. And another thing too, what if the players go out and in the first round or in any round, when we're supposed to be the heavy favorite and pretty much the dominant force as well as far as gridiron football is concerned, what if we go out there and we lose to, I don't know, Belgium? No disrespect to the people of Belgium, but what if we go out there and we lose to Belgium? The NFL, those players would be a national embarrassment. I mean, paper bag over their head embarrassment. And I mean, I don't even know who our real competition is going to be anyway. Is it going to be Canada? Is it going to be Australia? Is it going to be Great Britain? I mean, I don't know who our real competition is per se. Just like with the basketball and the Olympics, we know the competition there is getting better when you literally have NBA teams in Canada and France competing. But the NFL, I don't know who our real competition is. And if we lose to a team like, if we lose to a country like Australia or China or Japan or Belgium, again, no disrespect, but there's a chance that they could look like a national embarrassment out there. And those are a couple of my concerns that I have as far as the players playing in the Summer Games. Now, look, when we get there, we'll be into it. We'll watch them. But there still are definitely concerns that play into it as far as the Olympics are concerned. Another thing that we got sometime between late last night or early this morning, well, last night, we have an amendment to the onside kick rules as well, where teams can now declare onside kicks throughout the game. As you remember from last year, teams could only declare onside kicks during the fourth quarter if they were trailing in some stipulation like that. But now they can declare onside kicks for the entire game, which is kind of an indication that the whole XFL kicking format is going to stay. And honestly, I think that kicking format stinks. I mean, I know they're trying to reduce injuries as far as that's concerned and everything with the kickoff rules. First taking away the running start, and now doing this whole XFL thing to make the kicking rules not really a ceremonious play, but that's an indication that the regular kick rules are here to stay. And also, we got the news early this morning that the Detroit Lions withdrew their proposal of playoff reseeding. And honestly, I don't know why the teams thought it was a good idea to take away the division winners for taking away the prize for division winners. Now, I understand the concerns about lower seeds hosting playoff games, but if you went to reseeding in the playoffs, you're pretty much just taking divisions out of the league. I mean, but reseeding, I wouldn't have liked the reseeding as far as the postseason is concerned. And besides, where's the fun in that? Like, where's the fun in that? And I understand with the drama and everything, but where's the fun in that? But yeah, I really wasn't gonna be for that whole reseeding thing with the playoffs anyway. So it's a good thing that the NFL took that away. But they're going to be studying the reseeding scenarios in 2026. I didn't like it how it was formatted in this turn, but we'll see how it goes as far as next year, as far as the league meetings are concerned. And then, of course, the big story that we're looking at is the Tush push, as the Green Bay Packers submitted their proposal as far as banning the Tush push is concerned. And I have that proposal right here, and here it is. So here's what they're looking at as far as the Tush push is concerned. They're looking at this article where a push or a pull manner in any direction at any time or to lift the player off his feet. B, using interlocking interference by grasping a teammate or by using his hands or arms to encircle his body of a teammate in an effort to block an opponent. Or C, push or throw his body against a teammate to aid him in an attempt to obstruct an opponent or to recover a loose ball. Or D, assist the runner except by individually blocking his opponent's forum. And the effect of this is to prohibit an offensive player from pushing, pulling, lifting, or assisting the runner except by individually blocking opponents of him. And the reason for player safety and pace of play. But obviously, the real concern about this is the Philadelphia Eagles being way too good at this play and executing it successfully just about every time. And we see this in sports a whole lot. We see several times. We've been seeing in history, just like in the NCAA, with Kareem playing in the NCAA and them changing the rules to ban dunking because Kareem was so good at it. And in the early days of the NBA, George Mikan, Wilt Chamberlain, everybody changing the rules as far as dominance is concerned. And this is really another case as far as the NFL is concerned. Now, I understand where player safety does get involved into it, but I can't help but think that this is one of those things where they're trying to change the rules because one team is more dominant than it than anybody. And then you have Jason Kelce, too, in Minneapolis trying to defend the Tush push. And right now, conversations are ongoing as we speak. But I really would like the Tush push to stay in the NFL as far as that is concerned. All right, one more NFL note that I want to get into is the San Francisco 49ers, and they pay another one of their key players. Fred Warner becomes the highest paid linebacker in the NFL, getting a 3-year, $63 million deal. And the 49ers, they've been spending some money this offseason. They paid Brock Purdy, they paid George Kittle, and now they paid Fred Warner. Of course, this coming after the 49ers saying goodbye to Drake Greenlaw, Javon Hargrave, Charvarius Ward, and Jordan Mason. And breaking news, we got some breaking news here. The rule to propose the ban push did not pass. So the Tush push stays alive as far as the NFL is concerned. So Philadelphia, go ahead and celebrate. Go ahead and get your laughs in. Breaking news, the Tush push ban does not pass. And so going back to the 49ers, Fred Warner gets his $63 million deal, highest paid linebacker in the NFL. 49ers, they've been spending some money in the offseason. And of course, saying goodbye to those players that I was talking about. And the 49ers, I mean, their schedule is an absolute joke, too. Easiest schedule in the NFL after finishing fourth in the division. Now, listen, we do get this several times in the NFL where we get a good team that finishes fourth in the division, and as a result, they get a cupcake schedule. But the 49ers have not one of, they have the easiest schedule as far as the NFL is concerned. But yeah, of course, the big news of the day, the Tush push does not pass. Take that, Green Bay. Defend the play better. And then we'll have a conversation. All right, let's get into some baseball. We didn't get into this last week. Brandon Hyde, ex-Orioles manager, out after a 15-28 record. And of course, the Orioles with their interim manager Tony Manasolo, 0-4. Orioles on an 8-game losing streak. This team is an absolute mess. This team is a mess. And listen, this is an Orioles team where a couple of years ago, making the playoffs after trading away one of their best players in Trey Mancini. And then, of course, last year, the Orioles having World Series aspirations, even though they get bounced in the wild card. And now the Orioles being an absolute mess. Their offense is a mess. Their bullpen is a mess. Everything for the Orioles is a mess as far as that's concerned. And also another big story, Juan Soto going on an absolute slump as far as the season is concerned. And Juan Soto, for a guy who's getting paid $250 million, I mean, he sure has not been acting like it as far as this season is concerned. And going back to the Subway Series, when Juan Soto, when the Mets lost 2 out of 3 in that series. I mean, let me get the numbers right here. Juan Soto in that Subway Series, and on Friday, he went 0 for 2 with 1 run and 3 walks. That Saturday, 1 for 4 with a run, a strikeout, and a walk. And then Sunday, 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. And then, of course, you have the situation where Juan Soto concerns about lack of effort and Michael Kay getting on him. And I thought Juan Soto was going to get it going. He's got to get it going. I mean, Soto, he's getting paid $250 million, and we're getting concerns of lack of hustle. And, of course, reports saying that he's not happy. I mean, come on. And, of course, another big baseball storyline, too. The Angels sweeping the Freeway Series over the Dodgers. I mean, wow, the Angels, I mean, that was a little bit of a surprise, too, as far as the baseball weekend is concerned. And speaking of the Dodgers, I caught a little bit of the Dodger-Diamondback game last night after the rest of the playoff action concluded. And that game was absolutely wild. I mean, the game went into extra innings. The game went into 10. Yoshinobu Yamamoto with a no-hitter through 6 innings. And, of course, Ketel Marte busted up that no-hitter there. And then Corbin Carroll with a 2-run bomb in the 10th inning. And then in the 10th, you had Arizona, who intentionally walked Shohei Ohtani. You had Mookie Betts gave up a sacrifice fly. Then they walked Freddie Freeman. And then Will Smith got hit by a pitch to tie the game. And then Max Muncy sends everybody home with a walk-off sac fly. That game was absolutely wild. And, of course, the Dodgers busting up that 4-game losing skid. And I believe that was their first losing streak of that magnitude in 7 years. So incredible win there by the Dodgers as far as that's concerned. All right. We didn't get into this earlier this week, but Scotty Scheffler with a dominant win in the PGA Championship with a winning by 5 strokes. Now, listen, things did get a little tight there as far as the PGA Championship. Jon Rahm was kind of walking him down and, of course, tying things up at 9 under. But then Jon Rahm kind of fell out, and then Scottie Scheffler got hot, and that was pretty much all she wrote there as far as the PGA Championship is concerned. Scottie Scheffler, best golfer in the world right now, wins his first major outside of the Masters, and of course his third Grand Slam title overall. And Scheffler right now is halfway through the career Grand Slam. That was a really good note there as far as the PGA Championship is concerned. And also, we got to get into the Preakness as journalism, who finished second in the Kentucky Derby, won it in the Preakness, and also this is the last Preakness that's gonna be held at Old Pimlico, as they're gonna be tearing it down and rebuilding it in 2027, I believe. And then of course you have journalism winning the Preakness, and now when you get to the Belmont, you're gonna have the Kentucky Derby winner in Sovereignty taking on the Preakness winner in journalism, and that's going to be a really good race. That is going to be a very, very good race as far as the Belmont is concerned. All right, one more note that I want to get into before I sign off here. A little more fallout from the Chicago Sky Indiana Fever game from Saturday. And we got the ratings for that game, and Sky Fever did 2.7 million viewers. Most watched WNBA game in ESPN history. Most watched WNBA regular season game in 25 years. The game outdid Yankees Mets, the Sunday night game, which did 2.5 million. And the game also did peaked at 3.1 million. And the previous 4 games of the WNBA opening weekend combined for 2.5 million. So Sky Fever, I know the W fan is turned off by all of the everything that goes with Sky Fever, but when you look at that rating, you can't look at that rating and say that Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese are not good for the league. 2.7 million viewers. I mean, look, like I said, you can't say that this is not good for the league, because look, the W is getting buzz like they've never gotten before. You've got morning debate shows talking about it. You're getting all of these viewers. And listen, the WNBA, what they're doing with Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and the marketing, they're doing what any other sports league would do. They're catering to the casual fan. I mean, of course, you have the diehard fan, and the WNBA, they already know they're going to watch the games anyway. But the WNBA is catering to the casual fan. That's why they're putting all of these Indiana Fever games on in prime time, so that through the Fever, they can display some of the other teams, and the casual fan may be able to learn about these other teams and, of course, grow their viewership there. But overall, I know the W fan is turned off. I get it. But you can't look at this and say that Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese are not good for the WNBA. And I know people are calling this a fake rivalry. It's a rivalry, folks. It's a rivalry. What kind of non-rivalry gets 2.7 million people to watch? What kind of non-rivalry? It's a rivalry, folks. It's a rivalry. All right, and one more thing, too, that I want to get into. I've been giving this a lot of thought, and I think right now I'm going to take a little break from the women's basketball rundown because of all the sports that we have going on with the baseball and the NBA playoffs and the hockey. So I think right now, with everything that I got to follow up, and of course the sports rundown being my main thing as far as pursuing a career in sports radio, I think right now I'm going to take a little pause as far as the women's basketball rundown is concerned, and I'm going to run it back up sometime after the NBA Finals. of course, with the sports rundown, and of course, my summer class. As far as school is concerned, I'm going to take a little break from the women's basketball rundown. I'm still going to give you a little bit of women's basketball here and there. I'll give you some notes. I'll break down Sonia Citron, Kiki Iriafen, Chelsea Gray, all of that. But as far as a full women's basketball rundown show, I think I'm going to take a little break on that until after the NBA Finals. Well, folks, that is going to do it for today's edition of the Sports Rundown. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Click that notification bell to be notified of when I post again. And also follow me on Twitter and on Bluesky at CW Talk Sports. That's CWTALKS Sports. And I will see y'all the next time. Peace.